Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. My name is Adi from Sabah, Malaysia, and I will be your host for tonight. I hope that everyone is doing fine and always keeps everything clean. On behalf of the Jesselton Philharmonic Orchestra, we would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone who is tuning in to our broadcast tonight. For more information, please go to our JPO Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter page. And don't forget to press the like and follow button. For Zoom attendee, please answer the following poll so that our next broadcast experience could be improved. If there is any question that you would like to ask our guest tonight, please write it down at the Q&A below, or for YouTube live viewer, type it out at the comment section. JPO are very honored to be able to invite Mr. Kevin Field with the topic Commissioning New Piece, a look into the duties of a conductor. Kevin Field is an international independent conductor and director of music and artistic planning with Spectrum Culture Exchange, which he himself founded in 2014. As a drummer, percussionist, composer, and conductor, Kevin's performing pedigree covers rock, swing, and orchestral music. Performing in big bands and orchestras since the age of 11, Kevin studied timpani and percussion at Birmingham School of Music, where as a first-year student, he performed with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, making his professional debut with Simon Rattle conducting, all before graduating from the Royal Academy of Music in London with honors. On joining the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, he established Kokoro, a contemporary music ensemble of the BSO. Kevin later went to work with the Bell Rambert, Sadler's Wells Royal Ballet, the Orchestra of Bolshoi Theatre, and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. From 1999 to 2014, Kevin was the associate conductor with the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra, where he worked with world-class soloists in a variety of jazz, contemporary, and mainstream-inspired projects. With the MPO, Kevin commissioned Malaysian composer Tazul Tajuddin, Sunetra Fernando, Maurice Cheros, Adeline Wong, and Jyotsna Prakash, and premiered over 200 international works in Malaysia by leaving both the Malaysian Philharmonic Youth Orchestra and MPO Forum for Malaysian Composers, winning many awards and accolades in the process. Now, without further ado, let us invite Mr. Kevin Field for the interview. Hello there, Mr. Kevin. Are you there?
I am here,
Hi.
yes. Hi, Adi.
How are you, Mr. Kevin?
I'm very well. Yourself?
I'm fine, truly. So, where are you right now?
I am somewhere near Rawang.
Rawang. I see.
Yeah,
It's
yes.
in Malaysia.
Yep. I live in Malaysia.
Okay, now.
My first home, not my second
I
home.
see. Your first home. Okay then. Now let's move on with the interview section. Yeah. Can you tell us more about the video we have seen at the beginning of this broadcast?
Oh yeah, you saw the 10-year celebration. I'm director of academic and artistic developments and at Bentley Music Academy, and with COVID and everything going by, we've sort of been focusing on other things. We said, hang on a minute, this is our 10th birthday. This is our 10th anniversary of BMA. So I quickly, we've been doing various things with students and putting, lots of videos and short excerpts together. So I think I better do something. So yes, that was a birthday celebration for the 10th anniversary this year of Bentley Music Academy, which was swiftly followed by something 10 years old. I think that was the date on it, from Arau and Jazzar. That's a jazz youth festival in Arau, which is just outside of Zurich in Switzerland. And for a few years, I went there conducting the youth jazz orchestra there. And that was a combination of Swiss youth talent and American jazz talent. And it goes out on Swiss TV. As you can see, it's a very high quality production and some very fine musicians.
Okay. Now let's move on with the next question. Yeah. You graduated from the Royal Academy of Music with honors as a percussionist, and how did you end up as associate conductor with the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra?
Yes. Well, in between graduating from the Royal Academy of Music and coming to Malaysia, I was 8 years with the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra as sub-principal percussionist. And it was with that orchestra and my last few years at the Royal Academy of Music where I got bitten by the conducting bug. And in fact, your previous guest, Denise Ham, just a few days ago, was oh my goodness, yeah, that's quite an old. I must update my photographs. I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry.
So, your previous guest, Denise Ham, was my very first conducting teacher, and that was part of the conducting module at the Royal Academy of Music. Mm-hmm. And I continued that continued my conducting studies at the Canford Summer School, and then went off to St. Petersburg with an Arts for Everyone scholarship award from the Arts Council of England to study with Ilya Muzin, all but for a brief semester in St. Petersburg. And then whilst, basically setting up my own projects, which is, as a young conductor, that's what you have to do. You have to set up your own projects, your own conductors, put your own orchestras together and get out there and do it. That's what I was doing. And I said now this is our business, okay? Our business is all about networking. So everybody stay connected, okay? I did say to then principal guest conductor, Kees Barkels, if you ever know of any conducting opportunities coming up or where I can assist you, please do give me a shout. I mean, I was eager and keen and quite stubborn and belligerent and enthusiastic, as you are when you're young. And as I say, I've been, conducting. I'd set up the Kokoro with Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra and the Southern Chamber Orchestra, and putting on projects. And then about a year and a half later, he said to me, yes, we're setting up an orchestra in Kuala Lumpur. I got a call to come over and dep for 1 week. Well, it was basically to cover for 1 week. And that was late 1999, I think, 1998, in November 1998. The orchestra was just a few months old at that point. Uh-huh. And came over for a week, did the cover work, went back to the south of England, back to Bournemouth, and then I got a phone call and they said, would you like to come over as associate conductor? And of course, yes, of course. So I brought myself, my wife at the time, who's since passed on, and my two young children who are almost sikit Watan Malaysia. They came over at the ages of 6 months and 2.5 years to Malaysia, and they're now studying at York University and Northumbria University, respectively. Wow. And they consider themselves Malaysian. Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah, they do miss it. They do miss it. So that's basically. It was a phone call, it was a connection, it was being in the right place at the right time and being ready, which is what you spend a lot of time trying to do.
Mm-hmm. So it started with Kokoro, and then you move on with...
Conducting actually started before that. Started with an event, another summer course. I mean, this is the thing with Europe. There are summer courses. You're inundated. There's brochures and summer catalogs. You can go anywhere, do anything as long as you can afford it, all over Europe. And I went to a summer course at Queen Ethelburgers in Harrogate, which was run by, and of course, the name's just gone out of my head now, but it was run by a very famous, well-known symphony wind band conductor from the Royal Northern College of Music. And so he set up this summer course, and we were all there doing that. And I was minding my own business. I'm a percussionist. I graduated as a percussionist. And the conductor said, would anybody like to come and conduct? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. And I got up and started waving my arms around. Not one single lesson did I have at that point. And he asked the orchestra, were there any comments? And the principal horn player said, yes, when can he take over? Now, I was probably about 15 or 16 at that point, and what I should have done was registered that fact at 15 and 16 and not left it another 10 years or so before I really pushed the conducting scene.
I mean, that's great. It's like something you found during what you like to do. It's like you found the joy in something that you like to do, and then everyone's like supporting your destiny.
Yes, I was an art student, so I think my family were a bit, at the time, I think they were a bit concerned that I was going from art college to music college and made that transfer.
I see.
So,
So you started from art?
oh yes, I was studying graphic design.
Okay.
That my direction was going to, well, I wanted to be an architect.
Oh, okay.
But so all those young people out there doing maths and extra maths and mathematics and applied maths, make sure you do your maths, because you need to have very good mathematics and sciences to be an architect. So architect, quantity surveyor, okay, graphic designer. I very good at, I enjoy drawing, I enjoy design, I still do. I still use that skill. And of course, in terms of design and making music, it's all about form, structure, and communication. So it's all connected.
Right. Okay, now let's move on with the next question. Yeah. You combine a freelance career in conducting with your position at Bentley Music Academy, and you also run your own UK-based art and music-centered company. How do you balance your time, and what takes priority? Which do you enjoy the most?
Right, so that's 3 questions there. COVID has helped balance that out a bit, because just talking to my conducting students today at Bentley Music Academy, and so we're talking about the freelance career of most musicians at the moment is null and void. It's gone. This whole year is gone, and we are wondering what we're going to do about next year. So that's taken care of that side to some extent. I mean, those that are lucky enough to be engaged, we are, as conductors, we are often engaged 18 months, 2 to 3 years ahead. So there are projects beyond next year that I'm working on. So it is a balance. Being in Malaysia, my prime position and focus is with Bentley Music Academy, and bringing the skills and experiences that I had in the UK growing up and having that state support, bringing all of that experience and bringing that to the benefit of the students at BMA. The company, as such as it is, Spectrum Culture Exchange, that quietly supports artists. It sponsors and commissions performing artists and composers. It sponsors and supports collaborations. It does a lot of work behind the scenes. And over the next year or so, you'll start to see more profile. We are going to be pushing what it is that we do, making it more visible to our public, because we have been very active in making major collaborations happen. And so we almost at the wrong time to make in-person, face-to-face collaborations happen. We are reinventing the wheel, so to speak. We've looked at what it is that we need to do. Like everybody else, we are being as agile as we can and pivoting as best as we can, reinventing ourselves and seeing what's viable, what's relevant, what's required, and what's on demand right now. And so you'll see a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. We've got a team in Australia, a team in the UK, and a team in the ASEAN region. And over the next year to 18 months, you'll see more of the culture exchange. But the balance is what I like. I do like that. I obviously enjoy conducting first and foremost. At a symposium the other week, they said basically, what is music? Music is, to me, life. It is everything, and so is conducting, and nothing comes close to conducting. It's interesting though, you look at the videos, if you look in that video, no baton in hand conducting a swing jazz orchestra, and then people are watching the video from last week with Denise Hamdick. You really studied that same technique? The Toscanini Barzan method, really? Yes, yes. So that conducting is the priority. That is the passion, if you like. And it just so happens that I do enjoy planning, plotting, scheming, teaching, and designing curriculum, designing programming, concerts, the actual shape of concerts, and also new programs. And at BMA, Bentley Music Academy, we've got 3 new programs coming: a chamber music program, a professional development / foundation program, and an outreach program, which is just starting to happen. But I was really impressed doing some research that your organization has a massive outreach project, your end, yes? With 200 children or young people being given instruments and having free lessons. I mean, this is extraordinary. This is fantastic. So we will try and emulate that. But that's fantastic as far as your organization is concerned. So yes, it's a balance. It's a tricky balance. I enjoy that balance. I don't think there's ever such a thing. You can do too much conducting, but you can certainly do too much typing and too many meetings. And so I think a lot of the practicing musicians at the moment, we would rather be doing more music making right now.
Yes, with COVID going on right now, mostly it's online thing, online performances, collaboration between it's like collage of videos. So we have seen that around Facebook, YouTube. It's been going on. Okay, let's move on with the next question. You have commissioned over 30 new works and premiered over 200 works by living composers. How did your interest in new music begin?
Thank you for that. I think it's mostly to do with the fact that I am a percussionist. And so my bias is, in terms of interest or influence, would be 20th century music, modern, and then eventually contemporary music, because of the challenge. With due respect to Bruckner and whichever symphony number 8, I think it is, and his 2 cymbal clashes, strangely, one in B flat and the other one in E flat. Never quite understood that, but still. There was something. There's something about obviously conducting, which is very it's holistic. It's the challenge of it and working with those dots from nothing and turning it into something which moves and is alive and something that people can share and witness. So my bias was towards new music. And as I say, as a result of probably being a percussionist, I set up Kokoro or Kokoro with a probably more honest Japanese pronunciation with Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra. And we set up by doing post-concerts. We would do 1 hour, 60-minute programs, only 6 or so in a year, but that's how we started off. And we took musicians from the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra and performing, quartets, sextets, 12, 18 players. We did the Adams Chamber Symphony. That's how we started. I mean, that's how it started as, setting up an orchestra. I wanted to conduct 1, set up your own group. 2, then Bournemouth said, the manager then, Tony Woodcock said, would you like to? Yes, please, let's do that. So we did post-concerts after the Wednesday concerts in Paul Art Centre. They're still, I say they are still happening. You can go and find them online. They're doing a fantastic job online, the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, the UK's oldest provincial orchestra, by the way. So they're doing fantastic things. But every Wednesday would be our home concert. Good grief, that's a bit close. I'm sorry about that. We would do these programs, and it was all to do with basically. So new music. And then what happened when I was invited to come to Malaysia and be associate conductor, that's Alfie. Hello, Alfie. I'm trying to think where you got. Oh, someone's been going through my Facebook page. Good luck with that. I'm glad you stopped there. So when you've caught me there. Lovely Alfie, that's my mum's dog, and that's a lovely beach. Oh my goodness, that's the northeast. That is the northeast of England, a wonderful place called Northumberland, and it's England's greatest secret because there are more sheep there than anything, and a great long beach. And this is where Spectrum started in Northumberland. The Culture Exchange started in Northumberland in a place called Alnwick, and we started the Alnwick Music Camp. Alnwick is the first, has a castle, and that castle is the first castle used in the Harry Potter movies. Anyway, it's a long story. So that's the beach, and the castle is not far away from there, and that's Alfie, my mum's dog. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yes, new music. Thank you. So when I got the phone call to come to Malaysia, I said, well, that's fantastic. Yes, associate conductor, absolutely. And, you know, we're all working on 2-year contracts at the time. I only thought it would be 2 years. I said, you know, great, but can I continue the new music that I'm doing with Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, you know, bring that to the audiences here? And they said, yep. So we did basically 5-6 concerts a year. There were 5 rush hour concerts, 6 till 7 at Jesselton Philharmonic Petronas, and much the same theme. So literally everything from Adams to Zappa. There were rush hour concerts, and then once a season we did a big sort of, you know, 90-minute concert with a full orchestra, which was fantastic. And it was in that series over 7 or 8 years that we performed those 200 premieres in this region, in Malaysia, of works by living composers. You would have to go to Berlin, New York, London, Los Angeles to experience anything like that again, anything like that. And we were doing it, you know, in KLCC. From that, we then established the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra Forum, the MPO Forum for Malaysian Composers. And that ran for several years. And from that, we had the MPO International Composers Award. Ki Yong Chong won that. The first judge was Brett Dean. And we had composers from I think Mexico, Japan, Germany, Malaysia, and Canada. It was Canada, and a Malaysian won it. It was not a fix. It was a genuine result for Ki Yong and Brett Dean. Now this is a lifetime already. I mean, we're talking 10, 15 years ago. Although the MPO Forum was still running in my last few years with MPO, which was 2014. Now what we're doing, we've got a new project coming up with Spectrum, with the Culture Exchange, which is called Sound Moves. And that's about delivering new music to community orchestras, youth orchestras, children's orchestras, and tertiary education ensembles, where they get actively involved in the creation and performance of new music by living composers. And in next year, this is a very long answer to your question, I do apologize. Next year, Chow Jun-yi will be premiering a work by him called MCO Virtuos. You know, in Malaysia, it's called the MCO, Movement Control Order. So one of the assignments for the youth orchestra here at BMA was we had many assignments, I'm sure like yourself, keeping everybody busy and focused every week. Well, one of them was to go away and start composing 3 subjects. Every member had 4 bars to compose. We did a subject 1, a subject 2, a subject 3, 3 related keys. And I said to Junyi, here you go, off you go. Can you put all this together and write us a piece based on their influence and their inspiration? And the premiere of that is April. All being well, of course, we hope that late spring, still in Europe at Brain, late spring, summer, autumn, we should be getting back to some kind of concert giving. So that premiere will take place then. And that is part of a project, as I say, called Sound Moves. And more details of that will be released. This is a pilot program for next year, so we'll release more information in due course.
All right, thank you. That's quite a long answer, but
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
All the best with the project.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Would you like to share about your responsibilities in the process of commissioning new pieces for your orchestra, and how important is the role of a conductor in such matter?
If the conductor is commissioning it, and if it's an idea in a relationship with that conductor, then it's a very important process and an important part. I wouldn't say that the conductor is vital to that. I see myself as a commissioner in that way, as a curator, commissioner, and as an educationalist, and giving opportunity to emerging talent. The role of a conductor with new music is in itself then, with the communicating of new music, is absolutely vital. You know, there is a sort of preconceived resistance to new music. We've had hundreds of years to get used to Haydn, Beethoven, Mozart, you know, and all of that. So it's even now, even though we've got great orchestras who do a lot of work with new music, the general box office, there's the word, I jumped the gun. There's a general bias for the box office because it's about bottom line money, making sure we have bums on seats and tickets sold to make these things happen. Then there will always be romantic music and the pops and the films and all of that, and then the classics, the seminal repertoire, of course, which with most orchestras goes around every 8 years or so, around the big classics. So we have a duty, and based on my experience and pedigree, if you like, but certainly my history, to continue focusing and giving opportunity to emerging composers and bringing new music to certainly, you know, people that wouldn't normally have the opportunity to, one, play it, two, listen to it. Then it's the challenge is making sure you understand it and digest it. Now that process of studying a score is just the same as a Beethoven, Mozart, Bruckner, Mahler. That's just the same. You have to study the score. You have to know it inside out, be able to hear everything and know it before you stand up, as Denise was saying the other day, last week. You've got to know the score before you even stand up in front of that orchestra, because they will know. And especially, no, I think it doesn't really matter. If you stand in front of an orchestra and you conduct Beethoven, they will know if you don't know it. If you stand up and conduct, you know, a week that's just still wet, you know, it's so new, it's wet. And if you don't know it, the orchestra will know. Okay, so that your responsibility, your duty is just as great. The challenge is you don't have any archive material. If you're doing second performances or third or fourth performances, there may be some archive material. The agencies, the publishers will send you stuff, and you will listen to that and observe the scores or see. You know, YouTube is quite an extraordinary thing for that, I suppose. But if you're conducting a brand new work and you've got nothing to go on, then you've got to sit down at your piano, whether you play the piano or not, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's better that you don't play the piano, but you can sit at the piano and work out the chords and harmony and work out what's going on. And then it's all about structure, form, time, spacing, blend, balance, you know, ensemble. It's, you know, so yes, it's an enjoyable role. Here's a contentious issue. There is a tendency for some conductors to think that, and this has been said to me, that you are involved, this was said years ago, conductors get involved with new music because they can't conduct Beethoven, Brahms, or Bruckner. Now, because you can hide behind the noise of contemporary music, the plinky and the plonky and the scraping and the scratching and the banging and the noise. What if that's the kind of music that you happen to be? There's plenty of contemporary music which is melodious, you know. So there's you know, but sweeping statement, but there is a general feeling with some people that emerging young conductors can hide their technique and learn behind new music because the audience won't know. I dispute that because I think the audience will know if something's not been rehearsed properly. They will know. And something that was hinted at last week with Denise, that actually, you know, probably less likely that a conductor can hide in front of the orchestra with a new piece of music because of the complexities, than maybe standing in front of a piece of music that the orchestra performs every 3 months and can probably play blindfolded, and even though it has 80 to 90 people playing that piece, can just do it without you. So the whole business of conducting is complex, it's magical, it's special, it's frustrating, it's hard work, it's many things. And that really doesn't change if you're dealing with a piece of music, as I say, that's 4 weeks old or 400 years old.
Okay. Could you elaborate on this with some of your past experience?
Yes. Now,
Maybe
can I
share the
just call my
best.
lawyer first? I'll just call my
Okay.
lawyer and say, can you watch this and just make sure that I don't get. Um, uh, yes and no. I'm trying to
Okay.
filter what it is I can say because the is there any particular avenue you would like me to address? I mean, could you
Hmm.
elaborate with some of my past experiences? Ooh, and I've just been talking quite a lot actually. So,
Maybe the most easiest,
oh, the
easiest one. That,
easiest. No,
yes.
gosh, that's an interesting thing. There is a tendency to think that the
Mhm.
fewer notes there are, the easier it is. Actually, it's quite opposite. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
And certainly, you'll find this with youth orchestras when people tend to think, "Oh, it's okay. We won't bother with the Shostakovich or the Rachmaninoff. We'll go back to Mozart and Haydn because that's easy. There are fewer notes." No, it's much harder on so many levels. You're exposed. It's clearer. It's rigid and it's blocked and it's this and it's classical and it's form and everybody knows the repertoire, of course. So.
Yep.
Well, I would go back to the forum experience. The forum experience, the MPO forum, was a workshop for emerging talents. There is very little opportunity for composers to write for large orchestras. And that's why the forum was set up. And it was a 2-year cycle. In the first year, the composers would write for 20 to 32 players. And then we would work out from the larger group who were the 6 that would go through to the second year and then have the opportunity to work with the larger orchestra, the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra. So that process, you only see the icing on the cake. You only see that all the work is going on and behind the scenes, all the cutting and the pasting and the fixing, and this whilst the composer is learning their trade. To some extent, now a lot of the composers we work with, they already knew what they were doing. Absolutely fantastic composers, and they have gone on and they are doing wonderful work in the region and around the world. But I think there were times, and there are times when you're dealing with new music where you have this one advantage: the composer, all being well, is still alive, so you can pick up the phone or annoy them at some stupid o'clock with WhatsApp message. With in bar 32, what do you mean? What do you mean there? Because when you're standing in front of that orchestra, they're going to be saying that, what do you mean by this? As if it's your fault. You are the conduit. You are the conduit. You're representing the composer. So at least you have the composer at the other end of the internet, the Wi-Fi, whatever, to actually have that conversation and get those questions ironed out. So that is a wonderful thing. It's a privilege. You can't really call Beethoven up and say, "Did you really mean that that in the choral fantasia?" And the Grand Fugue, but there are times in the workshops when you are really struggling at times to make something work, and that's the point of a workshop. You are there to realize the composer's wildest dreams and help them, to entertain. But there are times when even established composers are so busy, they don't meet deadlines and all of those kind of things, that some key elements are missing, like key signatures or dynamics and things like that. And so the frustrating elements as a conductor is working in the early stages in a workshop like that, where the composer doesn't understand the nomenclature of the instrument and will write above or below the range, or hasn't worked out their transpositions, all of those sort of things. Now, and more importantly, just as importantly, all of that is making sure we can read the score. make sure we can read the parts. That's so important. 60% of our work will be done if the page turns are good and they work. The transpositions, as I say, are sorted, all the dynamics and all the, and also try and avoid, and we've done many of these works over the years, a score where you've got about 8 pages of how to play my work with 6 pages of extended technique. So you've got to learn all of that first. So there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges, but it's when it all comes to fruition, when it comes together and it works, it's very exciting. There's nothing more exciting than making the premiere of a brand new work. And I should say, it's sometimes easier to commission a new work than it is to make a second or third performance with another orchestra. That is the challenge.
Right. So, with the pandemic still surging, how has this affected the orchestra you are involved with, especially in terms of working with new music? And how have you worked on overcome such barriers?
Yes, well, I go back to what we're talking about, certainly with new music and the commission from Chao Junyi, from Spectrum, and working with the BMA Youth Orchestra. So projects like that are happening. That is a key event for us, and also working on sound moves, making sure that as a project, as a template, sound moves is sustainable and will work moving forward. And we're talking with publishers and exam boards to see if there's an outlet there for some of these works to then be integrated into publications moving forward. That, and I'm sure most people who are conducting, I was talking with a music director with the English National Opera many years ago, who shall remain nameless, and they said that job was 90% administration. And I think a lot of conductors, music directors can relate to that, because you are nowadays, especially with COVID, you think, I mean, personally, a lot of my freelance workers were saying at the beginning, for the next 18 months is gone, or all the last of the year and into next year is gone, just like that. And you hope that they will think of you when they're planning again over the next 18 months to 2 years. So I think even for those conductors who are conducting, the AAA conductors, those that are conducting week in, week out, and flying here and flying there and doing this, the real showbiz conductors, I think it's just a challenge for everybody at the moment. Everybody's wondering what is going to happen next, and there's so many different levels of operation. I've got colleagues in Australia. They've got sporting and concert events open. They have gatherings of thousands that's happening. And that sort of they've dealt with it to some extent and they have moved on. In America, it's quite the opposite, isn't it? So they're still in the midst of this terrible situation. And we all have colleagues, and myself, colleagues who are in some of the best orchestras in the world, who are now, or find themselves on the verge of unemployment. And if you have a full-time contract, that may be something, but a lot of these orchestras are unit fee orchestras, so you only get paid if you play. So if you're a percussionist, you're in trouble. If you're the tuba player, contrabassoon, cor anglais, piccolo, or bass clarinet player, you're in trouble. Then you've got the freelance music career, and the freelance musicians in this part of the world, in Malaysia, also struggling, as they are the world over. And as we've said on other forums, and I'm sorry if you're hearing this again, the performing arts are the first to get hit when there's an issue, when there's a disaster or a financial issue with the global markets. And we are the last to be looked at and looked after when things start to return to normal. And so we are, all of us now, necessity being the mother of invention, we are all trying to find ways to communicate and entertain via this rectangle. And even now, I don't have such a perspective in my room as Denise had the other day, but to show you that I also have the same Toscanini Barzan grip to all intents and purposes, just to show you, and also that balance. So there we go. There we go. Okay. So even conducting and making a workshop happen like this with the conducting students, you have to find other ways to do it. You've got to, obviously a lot more talking, as you can hear. Yeah. A lot more AC/DC in terms of two-way process, interactive learning, and trying to be as imaginative as this technology, not only the technology itself, but also the users. I mean, people my age and older, to be fair, the majority of us will probably, we've had, our learning curve has been sharper than Adi. I think your learning curve in terms of technology is probably a little more present than someone who's a little more senior. Okay. So we've had to learn, and everybody has new skills, video skills, sound skills, in order to continue being relevant and vital and connected.
No, it's actually, it's not a problem with technology. It's just that it should be user friendly for each of the technology.
Yes.
The more user friendly it is, the more suitable it is for business, education, and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is the last question for the interview. JPO is an organization with limited funding which conducts activities like the outreach program. What advice would you give to us besides organizing concerts, workshop, music camp, and our program like this?
Well, this Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Sunday, this has been going on for several months, hasn't it already?
Yeah, since the start, it's about a month after MCO started in March.
Into April. So that was quick. That's very quick work to get that done and to get it established and carrying on. Talking with Yabling about when he first approached me, and seeing what's going on. Well, that's really super impressive. And how lucky are your musicians associated with the organization? That's absolutely fantastic. What a mine of information to have access to. So you've proved yourselves to be vital, relevant, current, and using this medium. That's also good. It's the only thing we can do is to make sure that we look after those, those of us who are leading organizations, leading orchestras, youth orchestras, or music schools. We have a responsibility to stay connected and keep listening and keep reaching out. And I think you have to go back to the basics of what we are certainly as conductors. As a conductor, you are not only the music director in that sense, but you are also a personnel manager, a counselor at times, loco in parentis, or whatever the phrase is. You become, suddenly, if you're looking after a youth orchestra, you've inherited 76 kids, your own, you're another new family, or in BMA, 650 of all ages. So what can you be? I think you're just going in the right direction. You're doing fantastic work. As I say, I'm really super impressed by the outreach element of what you're doing, and how you manage to offer free tuition to those 200 children who would not necessarily get an opportunity to do so. That in itself is fantastic, is super. We just have to get ready. And how annoying it is for all of us, because we have also, and I've done the same, put back projects in the hope that we will perform. But you have to plan. You have to plan as if normalcy will be resumed. Normal service will be resumed in the next 6 months. And if it's not in the next 6 months, you simply have to keep going. That's it. Keep going, and we will get out of this. We will get back into, we will be better. We are, if we're lucky enough to survive We are changed. We are improved. We are not the same people as we were going in, and we just have to stick to our guns. That's a figure of speech with what it is we do. Arts, performing, music, arts. Some people like to think that it's a luxury, especially in this part of the world. Music is not a luxury. It's not an add-on. It's vital. It's vital to the well-being, the health of the individual, the family, the community. It's absolutely vital. And it's vital that all of us associated with these institutions carry on and keep planning and keep performing.
All right. Thank you for all the answer that you have been given. It has been my pleasure to ask you.
I hope so, Adi. I hope so.
Okay, now let's move on with the Q&A session. We have about 5 minutes. Let's try and answer some of these questions. Okay, from the first one. Hi, Kevin. I noticed you called Malaysia your first home. I am curious to know what makes you say so since you grew up in England.
Yeah, well, it's because you know that there is a big, or there was, I don't know if it's still there, there was a big marketing push for Malaysia, my second home. Do you remember that? And so there is an assumption, no, see, you're too young. There is an assumption that every Kwailo Matsale expatriate is here on that program. I'm not. I've invested my time and energy into Malaysia, as many have. 22 years I've been in Malaysia. So I do, don't get me wrong, I do miss Britain. I am English. It's a UK passport that I have. I do miss it. I've not been back now. This will be my third Christmas that I've not been able to go back. I've missed my children's graduation for all those reasons. And the frustrating fact is that I have to wait for an okay from the government to allow me to fly if I need to go back anytime soon. Hopefully that won't be the case. It's like anywhere. If you know, I know that I had to spend a few years back in the UK, and I miss Malaysia. My children miss Malaysia. My eldest children miss Malaysia, and it's just the way it is. It is a wonderful country, and there's a tendency for people outside of Malaysia not to really understand, because the media represents the negative, as media does. They've got a job to do. They represent the negative aspects of this country, and it's such a great shame. It has so much to offer the rest of the world, and it's a privilege for me and an honor to have spent these 22 years in Malaysia. So yes, it's my first home until I'm allowed out.
Okay, the next question. Did you ever experience sort of cultural shocks when you first come to live in Malaysia?
Yes. Next question. What's all this about uncle? Uncle this and uncle that. That's very strange where I come from. Oh my goodness, suddenly I'm everybody's uncle. That's very, very strange.
Not also uncle, but boss.
Oh, yes. Yes. Hey, yes. I nearly did the phrase and the accent. I'm not going to do it because this is live deferred broadcast. But yes, that whole boss thing as well. Yes, that can be a little bit frustrating. Yes, well, yes, that as well. The driving is still chaos and getting worse. The food, we know about food. It's wonderful. I'm talking about the impacts. You know, I now have it. I've been here so long that to talk. You know, when I go back to the UK, I'm actually, you know, I get reverse culture shock now. Really? Yes, I do. So, yes, the quality of the taxis. You know, the red taxis, all of that. I should be careful what I say. But yes, lots of, but all things that you eventually, you know, grow to love. How about that?
Okay. What is your advice for someone who are preparing a new composition, especially for world premiere without the opportunity to work with the composer?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm assuming reading between the lines that that person may have been uh, cajoled into, or they've seen a work or want to perform this work and don't have direct contact with through the agent or the publisher. Can you just repeat the question again once more, please, Adi?
What is your advice for someone who are preparing a new composition, especially for world premiere without the opportunity to actually work with the composer?
Right. So, okay, premiere. There could be premieres where the composer is no longer living. That still does happen.
Yeah.
Composers that are out of reach or don't want to be reached. That's the other thing. Follow your instinct. You are a musician. A tune is a tune, as George Hurst said to me when I was probably struggling with some, what was it, Schoenberg, Vier Klaternacht. Yes, that's another story. A tune is a tune, get on with it, you chose the work. Okay, words to that effect. So, yes, you are a musician, you've been trained well, study the score, know it inside out. Study it, actually study it without a baton, put your hands under your legs, sit on your hands, conduct it all in your head, look at the score, do all of that, get to know it, and do that before you get to a piano, because that's always quite interesting. Then you test your ear, test your inner ear. How good is your ear? Then go to the piano. Okay, I don't always do a lot of piano work because obviously a piano it's not well, it's not an orchestra. Obviously it's tempered. An orchestra isn't tempered like a piano. So you do have, or whatever your ensemble is. So you've got to be very careful with that. Learn it, study it, read it, stick it under your pillow. Keep moving and waving, and it should be there just like any other piece. Even if you have not premiered it, you should get to a place just like your sonatas or your studies or your exam pieces, where when you're walking out from the car to the bus stop or to the shop or walking down the street, you end up just doing this. And you do it without even realizing it, because it's inside. It's inside. Once you realize it, people will start looking at you as if, okay, do you need help, sir? But that's what you need to do. You need to be feeling it. It needs to be coming through the arms. And when I was at studied that brief semester with Musin in St. Petersburg, Keast. All the music had to be in the arms. It had to come through the wrists. So study, integrate, sing it as much as you can, feel it, think it, hear it, live it.
All right. Now for the last question for the Q&A. For a lot of contemporary music, are there a set standard of terms, symbols, and sign like we normally use in standard classical repertoire? Or most of the time they just use written word to indicate what they want?
I would refer you to the works of Ki Yong Chon. Go and find some of his music and go and look at all of the extra. It's a work of art. I mean, just looking at the music, it's a work of art. Go and look at that music and then start asking him, what does he mean by that? Yes, there are books out there that will help you. With just a few minutes left, I can't think. If I do think, I'll send you the link and you can stick it underneath the chat later. There are books out there that will help you with those terms, the extended techniques, and all of that. I mean, obviously we know about quarter tones, multiphonics, playing behind the bridge, all of those things, arrows pointing here, aleatoric boxes, all of that. Yes, that's a course in itself. Thank you very much. You've just give me an idea, whoever you are, Anonymous, you've just given me an idea for adding an extra module to one of our programs. Thank you. Yes. Editing and modern music notation.
Okay. All right, everyone, we have come to the end of tonight's broadcast. If you want to rewatch and listen to this broadcast again, it will be available after this broadcast ends. Thank you so much for tuning into this broadcast. Thank you for all the questions, and thank you everyone for making this broadcast to happen. That's it for tonight. Be safe, stay safe, and be healthy, and do stay at home. At home, not outside. Okay, I will lead the prayer for tonight's program. Please pray in whatever faith you believe in for the COVID-19. So here goes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma inni a'udzubika minal barsi wal junani wal juzami wa min sayyil askam. Oh Allah, I seek your refuge from leprosy, insanity, mutilation, and from all serious illness. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La yadhuru ma'ismihi syai'un fil ardi wala fis sama iwa huwa al-sami'ul alim. In the name of Allah, with whose name nothing on the earth or in the heaven can cause harm, and He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wa sallimu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Okay, again, the JPO would like to thank Kevin Phil for being with us tonight. Thank you again, Mr. Kevin.
A pleasure. Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you.
And that's it. Good night and see you all next time. Selamat malam.